Blood Bowl. I'm Complacent Badger.
I'm Sierra Kilo.
We're watching the Stalking Dead versus Sunday Speedwalkers.
Oh man.
Is it 330 difference?
That's if you're akin to that math kind of
No,
stuff.
sorry, 430 difference. Yeah, that's what it is. 430.
430.
Yeah.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah, that's gonna get some inducements. Maybe we'll see some shifts.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Stalking Dead. Last week was superior, and let's see if they can continue into that this week, because this is going to be a different team. Obviously, that they're playing a different style, but from what we saw last week, they really had everything put together and really played their team up, and really didn't bother with any of the negative aspects that playing their opponent had anything to do with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what he's going to do, because his big strength is the mummies, and he's been using them really well. But I'm interested to see how he's going to deal with not being able to control the line because of sturdy wood.
Right. That's going to be a big difference.
Yeah, because if he wants to control the line, he's going to have to invest a lot of effort into it, and that might mess up the rest of his game.
Right, but he does have that guard mighty blow, so he has the ability to, once he knocks kind of the minions around, if he wants to invest the amount of time to get that sturdy wood down, because he can do it if he wants.
Yep, so Master Chef takes one, gives one, and we got some pushing going on. Marks the ball with the white. Looks like Ghoul is moving forward, giving a couple pushes. Her lineup to block the run is a little weak. The wings over there are easily collapsible, as we've seen. The Ghoul actually gets backfield with just a little push.
Nice.
But she does have two in the backfield to protect, so that might be enough to stop any passes.
Right, and she's got the movement allowance for sure, and with the agility, being able to kind of dodge away from whatever encounter she's engaged with to move to wherever the character's needed.
Mm-hmm. So, actually moving over and getting a KO on Ben the Age, trying to take a few off of sturdy wood.
Nice, nice.
However, this has left sturdy wood alone with two mummies and a skeleton. But we have some invasion into his backfield, so he may need to pull some focus back towards the ball carrier.
Right, getting back into figuring out how to make a proper cage, because that's what he did expertly last time.
Mm-hmm. So opting to throw a 2-die against sturdy wood right off the bat, and then using the mummy to blitz up front. So investing a lot on just getting the pain, and doesn't look like there's going to be much assistance going to the backfield.
Right. So interesting movement there. So, oh, was that a handoff as well?
No,
No.
He did a go for it with the white, and then ran the Ghoul and did two go for it's, and then has a pretty shifty looking cage right now. Ghoul breaks shadowing and bolts away.
So that high movement allowance is making that possible.
Yep, movement 7 versus movement 7, making it to where as long as you just roll 1 over odds, you can break shadowing. He knows it wasn't that important of a move anyways, and that the player has dodge, so it wasn't that crazy of a bet.
Right.
Again, that shadowing only is as powerful as the skills that it's synergizing with.
True, sure, true. And we definitely saw that last week as well.
Yep. So, cage hasn't fully collapsed yet or anything, but there's at least one mark on the ball carrier. And he's in a situation that's going to be, without some pushes or whatnot, it's going to be a little tough to get out from. That one push right there, blitz over there, might make it to where you can reform around past this lineman over here. Let's see if he does that.
Right. Mummy's going to, yep. There goes. That guard was pretty important. Put him right in there, huh?
Yep, and then the handoff for the touchdown.
Wow.
So, yeah, a little shaky on the protection, but working fast enough and keeping his plan questionable enough to the opponent to where she had to remain a little spread out.
Yeah, that was really impressive. I don't think that we've seen anybody on the strength side do that many let's say like handoffs or ball hand changes all the way up the field in this early in the game. Most of the time we see the slower crawl for the most part to be more successful early on, and then when you get a couple people off the pitch, then you kind of do that spread. So coming with that strategy right off the bat, I don't think that the Speedwalkers were expecting that, and that's why that worked so well.
Yeah, and I think the Speedwalkers were overestimating a couple of their players. Brought up the two safeties all the way up, and were relying on one player to cover the goal.
Right.
Just wasn't going to be enough. Shadowing against a like movement character that has dodge, that's just not going to be enough to have the full defense. So I think it was a case of the Speedwalkers not pulling their defense up as strong as they could have, and the Stalking Dead just taking advantage of that, and not being afraid of doing handoffs. 3+s are not scary. Just get them done.
Right. I'm with you 100% on that. And I think that you're exactly right. What happened was that the Speedwalkers set up in a super solid defense, but then collapsed in as if they were looking for the slow grind, like a team of the Stalking Dead is kind of expected to play. So coming after that, a little more high ball movement than just straight running was a really good strategy to make some progress.
Well, and this is the first time that I think the Sunday Speedwalkers have seen the Undead with so many ghouls. I think on his roster he's running 4, but one of them is injured for this game. So he's only got 3 in the pitch. And the ghouls coming standard with dodge, most of them having blodge, with agility 3 and high movement means that they are very capable of holding onto that ball and getting it to the next one.
Super true. Look at that strategy to get those ball carrier or the potential receivers negated.
Yep, zombie kind of marking both of them, this ghoul marking both of them, and then each ghoul on the wing to make it a little bit more difficult to get away, so everything has 3 marks and limited dodge outs.
And I think that, I mean, he's still playing with Sturdy Wood, but Sturdy Wood is rooted.
Well, and you notice that he puts Sturdy Wood down and then starts flushing the mummies away.
Right.
He blitzes with them and hits, and he doesn't stay focused on Sturdy Wood. It's kind of like, oh, did I get it within the first 2 turns? No? Well, he's down later.
Right. Well, and that's the important thing to remember is that tree man doesn't have the movement allowance to really be a menace unless you let him be a menace. So if, taking the time to get a couple hits on him, because you're not going to be able to dodge your line away from him because he's got grab, plus the movement on the mummies or the agility on the mummies is garbage. So what you need to focus on is getting him down and then getting away. So take the time, invest the players early, and make it happen, because otherwise you're going to be stuck with them.
Yep. Here's a huge issue that I see against a lot of passing teams, especially playing against like Wood Elves, is sending nobody to aggress the passer. So she has basically placed her entire team in his backfield. You just don't have the players to stop them all at agility 4.
Right.
You need to send a team of 2 players at least to go aggress that passer, so she has to make a play.
Right, and that's what I think he needs to do now. Now that tree's down, he's got to start hitting some people.
Oh, I was going to say too late, but failed going for it, trying to get that most likely a shorter pass into a handoff to the War Dancer. Did not work out.
Broken ribs, so that's tough.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I'm usually pretty against having, almost in any situation, I don't like to plan on doing go-for-its. And it's for exactly that. It's just another roll to, I mean, it's a really low roll. It's a 2+. I hate go-for-its.
Well, you and Master Moose, huh?
Yeah, we're not fond of those. So, yeah, that one there. I think it was even re-rolled to another one potentially.
It had to have been because she's got.
Well, she might have
used 3 re-rolls.
Yeah, she might have used a re-roll previously, but at the very least, it was a little bit unlucky. But for how many times that she's already done like a go for it or 2 go for it's into a pass, like it's bound to happen. It was just unfortunate that it was an injury. I think.
Right.
I think Chesda doesn't have like a niggling injury or anything, right?
No.
No, just the strength lower. So, being at AV7, it's just one of those things that happens. It's not completely astronomical for you to fail a go for it and then injure yourself.
Right, and we've seen it before. And you know, as it goes for it, broken ribs, miss next game, pretty low on the devastation scale. You know what I mean?
Yep, especially since she has that backup thrower that she should still have. Yeah, it's right over there on the sideline. So even for this game, she's still fine. She has the backup thrower, Gosdor.
Right.
Ghoul going, and I think he had to do, I don't know if he had the
There
movement.
goes.
So that's 2 touchdowns in the first half against. So yeah, 2 go for it's to make the touchdowns. 1 got a little close.
Yeah, but hey, that's when you have that opportunity, you're going to take it.
Yeah. Especially
So
because.
to get 2 up, man, that's
Yeah, that's.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a good one. Getting the star thrower out as well. That's going to be. That's good news for him.
Right.
So opting to take his free little blitz action to hurt that lineman.
There goes.
So with all the scoring and ball movement, not a lot of injuries were thrown out. It looks like only Chesda, and she hurt her, or rather he hurt himself.
True. I mean, that's pretty wild to look at. I think that his Mighty Blow characters were focused on the tree, who's got that super high armor value. So that was what it was. And then he had a couple stuns, I think, as well. But aside from that, it wasn't too devastating. Really, you're right. He was focused on moving the ball and the end goal of that touchdown.
Yep. And right before the half there, Gosdor tried to do a pass just to get some star player points and rolled snake eyes.
There, get him out of the way there.
Yeah. So, fresh new half. Sunday Speedwalkers have the ball, which is always a pain to have the really good passing team to have the ball right after, on a fresh half.
Right, because you're looking at them getting a quick touchdown and then you have a chance to get yours, and then they have another opportunity to score.
Yep, but he's in a good situation. Even if they do score, he can kind of just do a slow drive, be careful, and try to get that touchdown.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't manage to get to the line, he's got the points.
Exactly true. And then he's, just get some star player points by bashing.
Mm-hmm. So you see that
That's not a bad way.
Mummy immediately breaking away from the tree.
Right. Useful elsewhere.
Yep. Ooh, stunned on that War Dancer. And then opting to go for it to paint this Blodge lineman who's a potential receiver.
Interesting strategy. I like it, though.
No, it's good. It's he still had his reroll available. It's a 2+ to get a just in case that pass goes off, because that person could score.
Right, and he's got so many rerolls.
Yeah, I think the chef's got 3 on that one. Maybe only 2.
Yeah, maybe only 2.
Yeah, it is only 2 because Chez is not here to give leader. So injury for the Wood Elves, and that's a touchdown. So
there goes.
There's that issue that it's really hard to stop, but he, whether not noticing it, getting just really excited, didn't really put any defense on the receivers. Against an agility 4, only one person on a receiver is not going to cut it, especially when they have a blitz available.
Oh, and he did such a good job the first half on that first drive that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Just putting all sorts of bodies over it. I mean, to be fair, I think that you'd have to say that it was improperly balanced to the receivers because he didn't, like you mentioned, menace the passer at all.
Yeah. But we'll never get to see what would have happened in that first drive had the ball gotten loose. So rain coming in is going to make the situation a little rough for anybody trying to do any ball movement. Specifically,
right. But not too terribly.
No, but it's something to keep in mind. All your bonuses for accurate pass and whatnot are going to get absolved.
Right. Exactly.
So setting up a basic cage. The cage is attached to sturdy wood though, so I don't know if I like that. Using the blitz to get in the back. I think he's betting on that sturdy wood's. I mean, sturdy wood can get through that zombie, and then you have sturdy wood and a lineman with Blodge and another lineman on your ball carrier.
Right. So the goal would be you'd have to focus on getting Sturdywood down, 'cause you swing at him twice with your.
I guess he was on the ground or something because he
Oh.
already did something that we must.
That's a trick with that Sturdywood sometimes. No, he's standing, yeah?
Yeah, he's definitely standing. It's just that he had already acted on his turn.
Oh, okay. Maybe he had to stand up.
Yeah. So
Some of those big guys' animations are pretty difficult to tell if they're standing or on the ground.
yeah, sometimes. So getting blocked there, breaking the shadowing, but failing the handoff thing. Well, rolled a 1 on the catch, so wouldn't have done anything even if it wasn't raining. But ball lands in a advantageous place considering all the places it could have landed, and he's got both the players still there.
Right. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Speedwalkers attempt to foil this, because what I think would happen is just surround it, try to get players close to it, leave the ball on the ground, and maybe blitz through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a really good spot to do anything else with it, because you can't go for a pickup, because you don't want to pick up, you don't want to have to dodge in, pick up, dodge out, especially close to the sideline. But you could try to push the opposing player onto the ball, and maybe it'll skirt out of bounds and get thrown in.
It's interesting that he threw that block on Sturdywood first and had to use a reroll. Let's see if that hurts him in the long run. Because all that Mummy did once he got it free was mark this one lineman that really doesn't have much to do with anything. So
right.
Let's see if his turn gets stopped early on for not having a reroll. And there it is on a 1 die.
Yep, there it goes.
Yeah, that was not good. Not good priorities right there. Starting with the hit on Sturdywood, that wasn't going to go anywhere. It would have been fine had he used the Mummy appropriately, but then marking that one lineman's not going to do much. And
right.
Then,
that strength does nothing.
And then opting to do a 1 die against, I think it was Gosdor, maybe it was somebody else that ran away already, but man, that's really odd choices that the early turnover, because he didn't do anything related to the ball, got them a touchdown.
Yep, that's tough. That gave them, the Speedwalkers, 2 chances to make something happen.
Yeah, that was that crumbled pretty fast on just one mistake.
Yep.
But that's Elves teams. You make one mistake, they will make you pay for it in touchdowns.
100% true. So now it's all tied up. So the Speedwalkers have used their 2 rerolls for the half.
Without Gosdor, they've only used 1 because they had to give up 2.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
okay.
without Chesda, they don't have the leader 1. So.
You're right. So the Stalking Dead had used 2.
Correct.
So they've got plenty to burn on this. 2 turns to touchdown.
Yep, and that's at least the second time a War Dancer's been stunned. Right there, the pickup was failed because of the pouring rain twice.
That's pretty gross.
So pouring rain did at least come into play once.
All right, and that's the big deal right there, because not being able to pick that ball up, having to do it a second time, and when you only have 2 turns to score.
And arguably, with the rain, and I know Sure Hands is supposed to be like a sure bet on picking up, but didn't have a lot of bodies to protect that ball, so he's really on the back foot right now.
Oh yeah, and I even with I have a couple characters with Sure Hands, and I know how devastating a fail on that is, because you really expect it to happen. So now, even though I expect it to happen, I plan for it not to, and I mean those ones come about.
And in this case, the 3s.
Right. Which is even sadder. That hurts your heart.
Yeah. So let's see what's going to happen. So throwing a block over there with the zombie against that lineman. And then putting himself down, throwing a block against Sturdywood, a 1 die. I have no idea what he's doing. All that pressure on him, and that was the play?
Yeah, I think he used all of his go juice the first half.
A lucky bounce into the Blodge Ghoul's hand. Wow. Um, yeah, like I say, don't push onto the ball if it's already an advantageous situation. And then putting yourself down on double attacker down and having no rerolls left.
Wowza. We've seen a lot of really good games kind of spiral out of control in the last 4 turns lately, huh?
Oh man, yeah, that was not good. Stalking Dead really showed that a lot of continuation from last week of just being a really strong coach with a really strong team, and then it's a perfect example of how getting that bloodlust and that need to take something down just completely just sends you in a tailspin into the ground.
Yeah, I think that really is what happened. We saw just a couple mistakes that really turned the entire tide of his play style. I mean, he just went away from what was working toward what he was. I guess the idea is that that's what the his team is kind of supposed to be, air quotes, doing, but he was working them in a way in that agility tree manner and was working so well. And then he kind of took his priority off of it. I don't know if it was because he had so many rerolls. He was like, meh, why not? If I can, but use those rerolls if you have to at the end of the turn when they're not as integral. Because
Well, and that's
I,
the big deal is that yeah, you may have, and we don't know if that's the case, but for anybody else who gets chefs and has a lot of rerolls or just happens to have a roster with a lot of rerolls, you may have 7 rerolls, but you can only use one per turn.
right,
That doesn't change anything. Don't do stupid things at the beginning of your turn just thinking, I have 7 rerolls. If you use that reroll, that's it. Your turn is now at the whim of whatever the rolls come out.
right,
And we saw that Ducky Shoes was subject to that because her rerolls were getting stripped away from her many times. That she was subject to the dice. Um, some of that was just straight up, snake eyes or double attacker down. Um, but at least one time was because she previously used a reroll that turn on something that arguably important or not. But because she had so many rerolls stripped away from her between losing Chesda and Master Chefs, she became more subject to those dice, and it became more glaringly obvious.
right. And let's talk about just the overall play style. Is I think that the first drive for the Stalking Dead, the Speedwalkers were a little on the back foot, but they adjusted fairly well on the subsequent drives that made it a little more difficult for the Dead to succeed. And I think that was part of it as well.
I think the Speedwalkers played a good game. I think they got caught with their pants down in that first drive, like we were
Yep.
talking about, and that caused a little bit of an issue. I think a couple key rolls at key places, while not completely out of odds or anything, I wouldn't consider it a bad rolling game. I would actually place most of the blame on the chefs for that.
Right.
But I think those key spots were bad. Like that, and it was a couple choices too. Like right at the end, had she opted to push the white not onto the ball but somewhere else, she might have been able to easily pick up that ball and get a touchdown right there and won the whole game.
Right.
But again, I always adamantly oppose pushing people onto the ball unless it's just like you're like it can't get any worse.
Yeah. Maybe it'll squeak out somewhere better.
Yeah.
But I think overall, this was like two teams who had to play outside of their comfort zone and outside of the normal realm, and did surprisingly well. And then right up until it stopped working, and then they didn't really have that little bit of a backup plan. What should we do when things go wrong, or when our primary focus doesn't work?
I would argue that the Speedwalkers weren't too subject to that. I think that was mostly the Stalking Dead. I think the Sunday Speedwalkers just started playing the game about turn 6.
Fair play. I'll
Um,
accept that.
and just because of inducements kind of were hamstring, and had it gone one more turn, I think they would have won.
Yeah, but I would like to say that those war dancers went down quite a bit more than we've seen in the past. So that was a good job on the Stalking Dead by putting the characters that needed to be there against them.
Yeah, and there's their glaring weakness is that AV7. So if you do manage to put them down, which is tough, uh, you know, 1 out of 3 times, actually better odds than that, but we'll just call it 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 times that you put them down, they're gonna get hurt.
Yep, off the pitch, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, pretty good game up until the end there. But thanks for playing, and we'll see you next time.
Later.